Welcome back, folks, to the WP-Tonic show. It's episode 399. Oh my God. Coming up the big 3-0. I feel like I've been doing these shows forever, folks. And my beloved listeners and viewers, you're probably feeling that way yourself as well. I've got my great co-host with me, the champ, the one that controls my madness. We've got the great Cindy Nicholson with us. Cindy, would you like to introduce yourself to the listeners and viewers? She's laughing. I made her laugh.
Yeah, you never know what you're going to get with Jonathan. Hi, everyone. Cindy Nicholson here from thecoursewhisperer.com. And along with Jonathan, I help entrepreneurs that want to create online courses. So 399, Jonathan, that's pretty good. You're getting there. 400 next week.
Yeah, God, crazy stuff, isn't it, Cindy?
That's awesome.
It's crazy. So we're going to have an internal discussion here. We've got some great guests. We've got great guests next week, and in June we've got some great guests. We're fully booked, folks, but we're going to have an internal chat. Me and Cindy thought a good subject would be to talk about CRMs and how you integrate them into your course, the system you're going to use. Obviously, we have a focus on WordPress, and like you should use Lifter LMS or Learn Dash or some of the course, WP courseware. There's a number of plugins, but marketing automation is a real buzzword in 2019, and I think it would continue just as strongly in 2020. What do you think, Cindy? Do you think that's a great topic to discuss?
Yeah, I think it's a really good one because it always comes up, and it really kind of is an essential kind of component to how you would be running your online or membership business. So maybe, Jonathan, maybe we can start with, what is a CRM and why would you want one if you had a membership site or course?
Well, a CRM is just a way to manage people, and also it's normally utilized in email sequencing. Fundamentally, like with a course, if somebody finishes a particular course, you would then send a sequence of emails to that individual. If an individual hasn't been progressing through a course for a certain amount of time, you could send them a sequence of emails. Does that make sense, Cindy?
Yeah, absolutely.
Also, if somebody is purchasing a course and then they're given their name and email and then they abandon the actual purchase of the course, you could then send them a sequence of emails. If you've got a modern shopping cart checkout page, uplifts are big in the terminology. And what do I mean by uplifts? You offer them in the shopping cart page, you offer them the opportunities to buy additional products or services. Might be they're buying a small course, and then there might be an additional course which you want to promote. And then after they've bought a course, you can send us a sequence about this upsell course you're doing, that type of thing. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. So in terms of, and maybe this is something I can talk to you about, how important it is to kind of maintain that contact with your, once people have signed up for your course, to have those touches with your client as they're going through it, so that they still feel that you're part of the course with them. Like, how important do you think that is?
I think it's really important, and I have a tendency to underestimate that. I have a tendency, when I've been exposed on courses to sequences, I don't particularly like it. I'm not bothered by it, and if they've got the option that I can switch off or indicate I don't receive them, I probably would. But that's more to do with my personality, and I've been in the online building websites, marketing for over 12 years now. So we have our personal biases, and we, for obvious reasons, we think most other people are the same. They're not. Actually, it's been scientifically proven in the people that I read and think that they know what they're talking about, that having a lot of touches with people that joined a course and continue to giving them encouragement and is by the majority of people most welcomed. So I'm not the best judge of that, because I don't need that so much. I'm more concerned about, which is important, I'm not diminishing it, the actual quality of the course. Where I say that, they're both really essential, aren't they, Cindy?
Yeah, I think it's super important, especially, you want them to take the course and you want them to have success, but you also want them to know that you are, on their side, supporting them and rooting them on. And again, the best type of client is an existing client for future products. So if you have other courses that they would benefit from, or other services that you can offer them, kind of maintaining that connection with them is super important, as opposed to having them feel like they were kind of abandoned once we got their money, sort of thing.
Yeah, and I think you can never start early enough building these sequences of emails. Obviously, and in a future episode, when it's an internal discussion between you and me, I think a future subject is getting those first 100 members of your course. I think we could discuss methodologies about how to get those first 100, because that is seen in the course entrepreneur environment as a leading benchmark. Can you get those first 100 people to join your courses? Would you agree with that, Cindy?
Yep, we'll have to make sure we remember that, because that's a good one to talk about for sure.
But that's linked also building up your initial sequences and building up your email, your thank you email, having clear instructions about what will happen. Having an embedded video in that thank you email, giving a personal message, using Zoom and a webcam. These are not expensive things to do now, but learning from some of the pros. I learn myself when I see a nice sequence, I take some screenshots and I keep it in a folder, because when you see somebody that's put enough effort and work, it is pretty slick, isn't it? And I think anybody that's wants to get success in courses as I call e-learning entrepreneur, they've got to learn these methodologies, haven't they? And the earlier that you get into course automation, I think the easier the progress is going to be, as hopefully your course grows.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, it's part and parcel. It's part of the whole gig if you are going to do a course. So when it comes to CRMs, like there's a bazillion out there, right? So it can be very overwhelming if you're trying to decide on which one to choose. So what do you think are some of the main features that somebody should look for when they're starting to shop for a CRM that works for them?
Well, this is a great question, Cindy, and thanks for asking it. It's having the right CRM that's focused at your particular level and at your particular niche. There is a lot of them, and in this show, we're going to go through about half a dozen or more, some of the leading ones, and what I see as their strengths, weaknesses, and suitabilities if you're an e-learning entrepreneur. I'm going to start off with the big daddy in email marketing, and increasingly they last week said that they made over 700 million profit, and they're going to be utilizing a lot of that money in their CRM system, and that's MailChimp. Now, MailChimp has been an established email platform for a number of years, and it exploded on the market, and it did that by having a more sophisticated UX interface, and secondly, a very strong marketing methodology by offering a very usable free tier to its user base, which was very attractive. You know, it offered 2,000, you could send off 2,000 emails per month. I'm not sure it was either the emails or your 2,000 contacts. I think it was 2,000 contacts, and you could send as many emails to those 2,000. Well, that covers a substantial amount of people that are using email for their courses, because I would say 80% of courses don't have 2,000 members, right?
Right.
Now, as an email service, the free service, I had some slight problems with it, because what wasn't explained to people is that the difference between their free service and their paid services were the actual servers that were sending the email out, and the bounce rate and the rate that your emails would end up in people's junk folders and in the marketing folder, that if there were people using Gmail, was high. And when you went to the paid version of MailChimp, they used different servers for the paid levels than they did with the free level, which isn't so. There always is a price with free, isn't there?
Yeah, exactly.
But at a certain level to get you going, I think it did. You know, also you had their branding on the free level. You had their branding. Now, they were not into automation, because mostly automation is around two elements. It's around tagging and lists, right? These are the two fundamental building blocks of automation: tags and lists. And how different CRMs use tagging and lists varies. Some are highly tag based, some are highly list based, some have a mixture of both, right? And this has consequences in the way that you set up your course with your CRM, and will have future consequences on how you can utilize these systems. Did that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Now, with MailChimp, there looks like they're going to attempt to build out a whole marketing platform. With their announcement last week, that seems to be the way that they're going, where it's going to be like Hubspot, or it's going to be like Ontraport, where like Ontraport and Hubspot, they're higher level CRMs. Ontraport and HubSpot would dispute that with me and say that they are still aimed at the small business market. Or Infusionsoft with their own system. They've got one, I think it's called Keep. They're entering more the small, medium-sized business market. I would dispute slightly because these, I think they would be used by the small to medium business, but a slightly more mature business. Because I would say in this small business market, the three I've just mentioned, their price structures are slightly higher than some of the other ones that we're going to discuss, Cindy. But MailChimp have made it clear that they're looking to build a full-featured, like HubSpot, where you have landing page, where you literally be able to build a website, and you would have the automation. They're using tags and lists at the present moment, but the only thing I would warn people is that when you start using it, the flexibility and what you can do compared to some of the other systems that we're going to be discussing is much more limited. And you can see that it's a much more younger platform than some of the other ones which are more mature, Cindy. And also their documentation and the help documentation and videos that they support is okay, but can be confusing and contradictory. And that's what, from somebody, I was using MailChimp about 3-4 months ago, and I was actually looking at their landing page functionality, and it's great, but I find the interface not to be as easy to use as they would make out to their user base. Would you agree with that at all?
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because when I first started out, I started out with MailChimp. And, you know, it was great that it was free, but I did find it wasn't as user-friendly as I thought.
Intuitive, isn't it?
Exactly.
Some intuitivism, isn't it? Is there a word? Is that a word, intuitivism? That's quite good, doesn't it?
So yeah, no, I found that with MailChimp as well, and it's interesting that it's kind of going big with all of the you know, the marketing tools and everything. So what other ones do you have there for me, Jonathan?
Well, I think the three that I would look at, another one that's free, it's not for people outside the WordPress, it's probably not so well known, is Agile CRM.
Agile?
Yeah, Agile CRM. And I've had a lot of people start that because it's a bit like Zoho, that they do a ton. It's an Indian-based company like Zoho. Have you heard about Zoho? No. Zoho is another that does a host of different software, SaaS-based programs like invoicing. It does the thing. Agile just the same. You know, so a business, when they're looking to do marketing automation and a host of other things, they look at Agile CRM, and it has a very low price or free platform. I would discourage you from using Agile CRM because I have been involved in companies and their support used to be fantastic, but there was problems in getting stuff to work properly, basically. So I'm throwing this initially in because I have had people say, you know, it does everything. I've had problems with it, but it's ongoing. I haven't worked with it lately. Another one that offers a fantastic free level is MailerLite. Have you heard of them, Cindy?
That's actually the one I use now. And I went from MailChimp over to MailerLite. When we're talking about intuitiveness, I found it significantly more intuitive and to learn than I did MailChimp, for sure.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think it's a French company, actually. I'm not totally sure about that, but I think it is. I apologise, listeners and viewers. What do you like? You know, I haven't got an enormous amount, but I know they offer a free level, don't they, Cindy? Is that correct? And their plans are quite reasonable, aren't they?
Yeah, no, I found, yeah, what they offered in the free level, I found was, you know, more than I needed, sort of thing. So, but it was just really easy to use. You can do your landing pages, you can do your tagging, all of those kinds of things. It was, I found, pretty easy to use. So that was kind of the most important thing for me, because you don't want to spend all your time on that. So you want something that when you go in periodically to work on it, it makes sense of how it flows, sort of thing.
Right. We're going to go for our break, but before that, folks, I want to talk about one of our great sponsors, and that's Kinsta Hosting. And if you've got a WordPress site and you're in the e-learning space, or you've got e-commerce as well, you need something a bit better, based on my experience, than your normal cheap hosting that comes from GoDaddy or Bluehost. Seems appealing, but based on my experience, if you start using that for something like Lifter, LearnDash or WooCommerce, you're going to have problems quickly and you're not going to have an enjoyable experience. And it's got nothing to do with WordPress. It's normally got to do with the hosting you've got. Now with Kinsta, they use Google Cloud as their backbone. But what you get from Kinsta is you get fantastic hosting, because like I say, they're using Google. But the next thing is you get a fantastic interface, UX design that's really easy to use, plus all the technology, bells and whistles like Stage Insight, one-click backup. And the other thing is you get fantastic 24/7 support from people that really know what they're talking about, because you will have that problem with your hosting provider one day, and having people that you actually know what they're talking about that are really going to attempt to really help you out is going to save your bacon. So, and it's affordable, folks. It starts at $29 a month, around that, which compared to, like, say, WP Engine is a lot more reasonable. So go to Kinsta website, kinsta.com, have a look, see what you think, try them out, and I'm sure you're going to be delighted. We'll be back in a few moments, folks. We're coming back. We're talking about CRMs. And like I say, before we go into the second half of this, I want to talk about an upcoming event between me and Cindy. We're doing our 7 things you need to know about when you start your first course. And me and Cindy are doing a free webinar. We're doing it on the 30th of this month. It's a Thursday. We're doing it at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. It's totally free. It's going to be the Beauty and the Beast. You're going to have Cindy, then you're going to have me. Obviously, Cindy's the beauty and I'm the beast. But we'll be going through everything you need to know. And at the end of the presentation, you'll be able to ask me or Cindy questions about getting this course done. So it's going to be a great show. So go for it and join us on the 30th. I'm going to make sure this particular show is published before the 30th. And join us, and it's going to be a laugh. How you do it, you go to WP-Tonic webinar, and you can register free, and then you'll be sent some email with the link to join us. And it's going to be a great experience. On to the second half. So are you still using a MailerLite? Then,
yeah. Mm-hmm.
What is any particular functionality that you really like about it?
It's more that I think it's the support that I've gotten from them, and the intuitiveness of the ease of use has been kind of my most important criteria for staying with them, sort of thing. So I haven't been given a reason to make any changes as of yet.
So are you utilizing any of the automizations that they offer to any degree, or are you just using it as a monthly newsletter?
Yeah, no, I have my, once they subscribe, I've got my automation after that, sort of thing. So, yep, no, I definitely use that, and use the tagging as well feature that's available.
Yeah, I think they're getting more increased penetration in the market. They don't come up as much in these conversations as some of the other players we're just going to mention. I think the free that seems to get the most attention in podcasts, in articles, the free bit to get the most attention is Active Campaign, Drip, ConvertKit. They seem to be the three that seem. In the first half, I mentioned Agile CRM, which isn't talked about that much in podcasts. And then we've discussed MailerLite, and also mentioned Zoho. I wouldn't recommend Zoho as a automation platform. I think it's got its strengths, some of its products. It does it does like I say, a whole suite of products at very low prices, and they do a bundle deal where you can. I think they're still offering it at $49 a month. You literally have access to all the programs they offer. The quality of the quality and the support you get from Zolo varies a lot from the different. It's like a Swiss Army knife of a suite, and some of it is indifferent, some of it's top notch, and it really, there's no knowledge, or where it depends. They've got a big team, but they're covering a lot of areas. The three I mentioned, when it comes to Drip kind of entered the market a few years ago. It was built on, I think it was built on Python. The guy behind it is a bit of a legend in startups. It was, and then they sold it. He sold the company to Lead Pages, and Lead Pages was, still is to some extent, big in landing pages, in lead magnets, and attaching a lead magnet. A lead magnet is normally a digital free product that you're offering to people as an inducement to get their name, email, or phone number. And then the digital product would be emailed to that new subscriber, and you would have a landing page builder that you could build your offering on without having to have a website. They bought Drip. Now, Drip has a very nice interface when it comes to UX, and I think ease of use of using it. They seem to have more of a focus around e-commerce at the present moment. That seems to be their target audience. The tagging, really big on tagging rather than lists. That's how I would describe it. I haven't used it recently, but when I did use it, I was impressed with the UX design and ease of use, actually. And like I say, it's then I think you can still buy it as a standalone product. They are always trying to get you to buy the joint product where you got the landing page. I haven't used Lead Pages for quite a while, for over a year. Last time I looked at it, I found it very clunky compared to ClickFunnels. That's another one that I should have mentioned, ClickFunnels, but it's a bit like what I said about with Zoho and Agile CRM. It's a bit of a Swiss Army knife, quite expensive, but Brandon, one of the founders, is a legend of internet marketing. So a lot of people buy into ClickFunnels because of Brendan's marketing ability. It's still a really good product, but that's a kind of Swiss Army knife, because you seem to have these Swiss Army knife products, and then you have more focused ones. Another one, like I say, so Drip, I would recommend you go to Drip, but I think, to be honest, listeners and viewers, it's been taken over by Lead Pages. The merger of the two companies and the two technologies have slightly put Drip behind the curve a little bit, and I don't want to be unfair. Now, the other two, you got ConvertKit and ActiveCampaign. ConvertKit is another superb product. When it comes to UX design, I think it's just as good as Drip. Tags are used quite a lot in ConvertKit. One of its strengths was Drip. The other thing is Drip offers, you can have the kind of plain email message, and then they do offer a library of more sophisticated templates for more kind of marketing focused email. The editor, like I say, I haven't used it a while, but the editor seemed pretty good when it came to the more marketing email. ConvertKit, same thing. You can do your kind of plain text and your convert more marketing type of emails. But where it gained market share is that they did a lot of outreach to some of the leading personalities in online marketing. And the other thing they offered a very easy to use form building functionality that would integrate very easily in WordPress, because before they came on the market, MailChimp is a good example. The actual MailChimp plugin that came from MailChimp itself to build forms was dog ugly and not that easy to use. And you literally had to buy a third-party plugin that gave you ability to work with some of the leading form builders like Gravity Forms, and there's half a dozen of these form building plugins. You literally had to buy an additional third party that would communicate with MailChimp with your form building plugin, because the one they provided was awful. And I don't know if they've improved that recently. Well, ConvertKit, they saw that opportunity that people wanted an easy to use web-based graphical interface where they could build really nice forms where people are signing up, and landing pages. And that's how they got their market penetration initially. And it's a good product, Cindy. Right?
Yeah, I heard really good things about ConvertKit.
Yeah, I think we're going to continue the discussion a little bit and wrap it up with a couple as bonus content, folks, because we're getting close to the 30-minute roughly. Cindy, how can people find out more about you and what you're up to?
You can reach out to me. You can find me at thecoursewhisperer.co, or also I love to connect with people on LinkedIn. So come connect with me there and say hi.
And folks, if you want to contact me, just go to jonathan@wp-tonic.com. Join us on the 30th for this webinar. It's going to be a blast. And we'll be continue the discussion, which you'll be able to see on the YouTube channel, the WP-Tonic YouTube channel, or go to the website. But if you want to watch the bonus content, the quickest way of watching that is going to be on the YouTube channel. We'll be back next week with a great guest and a great conversation. We'll see you soon, folks. Bye. So, continue. I couldn't believe how time goes, but we've covered a lot of space here, folks. So that's what I think. The only thing I would say is keeping up to date with all this. Is I do my best, but some of the things, it's based on some of my personal experience, and these platforms are in a deaf conflict with one another. So they're updating their functionality and what they can do on a weekly, monthly basis. So some of the things I might be saying might be a little bit out of date, and I want to be fair to, as much as I can, to all these platforms, right? So let's go on to, I would say, is the second biggest player in the field. Because I would say MailChimp, even though it's a late contestant into this field of marketing automation, because of its market size when it comes to email, it's still a dominant player. So it's a strange situation, Cindy. But I would say apart from MailChimp, the biggest one is ActiveCampaign. And it's the one that I have the most knowledge, because it's the platform that I use myself. Now, ActiveCampaign, the other thing I would say about all these systems, the actual building of the campaigns, they tend to use a visual editor where you can actually plan out, if this person does this, they will go down this path. This person goes down. Now, I don't remember how difficult or sophisticated MailerLite was. You can give some insight on that. But on the others, I would say Drip has a really good interface when it comes to that. ConvertKit is good. I wouldn't say it was as good as Drip. ActiveCampaign is powerful but quite technical in planning. You can do a very elaborate sequences, but I would say it's a little bit of the more technical to use. It combines tagging and lists. You can utilize both or a mixture of them. The actual emails, it doesn't have a lot of really good marketing type emails, but if you're just using very heavily or simplistic layout with a couple of images, or using emails that have a lot of text in them, you'll be fine with it. What do you reckon? What's your experience with MailerLite when it comes to actually working at, the kind of editor that allows you to plan out the logic of your...
The logic interface is very good. That being said, my business model is very simple, so I don't have multiple different routes or whatever, so I haven't needed to use that. So again, it's kind of knowing what your business model is and where you're going, so that you can make sure that you've got all of those features that you're looking for before you kind of sign up. Because really you want to do that due diligence before, because you don't want to switch things over. So I think it's knowing the complexity of what you want and making sure that your provider has it.
And to go on, I kind of mentioned HubSpot. I haven't used HubSpot for a long time. Another one, this throw in a couple others. SendBlue. SendBlue's another French, I think it's a French-based company. It has a cheaper pricing structure than ActiveCampaign or Drip, because all these, they have, you can start off with, I think, ActiveCampaign with $12 a month, but you can only have up to 500 contacts. I find to get all the functionality and everything, most of these you're looking around $49 a month to get everything that you're looking for. I think that's one of the nice things with MailerLite is even on the free or the next one up, you get a lot of the functionality that's not available with Drip, ActiveCampaign, or I'm losing track now, I'm talking so many. Drip, ConvertKit, or ActiveCampaign. You're looking around the $49, aren't you, Cindy?
Yeah, I would say that's about right.
Another one, the big old daddy of it that started a lot of this off was initial players, Infusionsoft, or what I like to call Confusionsoft. Now it has its place, because if you're looking at thousands upon thousands, you're getting into the 10,000. You're doing a lot of email marketing, and it's a whole marketing suite that, if you're one of the big players in online marketing, you've got a very large email list, and then you're doing based on that email list, you're doing extensive automation and customization of your marketing outreach. Infusionsoft still is a powerful tool, and you're probably going to have to hire a consultant to help you, or dedicate a lot of time in learning the Infusion methodology, because it is not an easy platform to use. But that's based on experience over a year old. So they're just as much as as all these platforms changing it, trying to improve, trying to keep market share. Would you agree what I've just said there about Infusionsoft?
Yeah, that pretty much aligns with what I've heard. But again, as you say, I haven't checked it out recently, so I don't know how much things have changed.
Another one we interviewed him last week is Adrian from Roundhog,
Round.
which is integrates with your WordPress website. And I like the interface. It's not. It's a more looking for the right word. It's not a diagram based methodology for building your campaign. It's like you have one step and then you can choose what the second step in a vertical interface, which for more of the average user, I think is going to be a more intuitive and easier to use interface. It will have its limitations when you get to a certain level. I don't know if you can and then change the interface. I never asked Adrian about that. But for the majority of people, it's going to provide a more easier to use interface. Would you agree with that, Cindy? Where is Cindy? Cindy's walked away from me.
Sorry.
Oh, you had enough of it, Cindy.
Yeah. Sorry, Jonathan. People were knocking on my door, and then all of a sudden my internet went down, so I didn't know what was going on. But anyway,
no.
all good apparently.
Right. So, I think we've covered by looking at the list I had, and I'm sure I left out a few. Like there's intercom, which is more to do with having a little icon on your website, and then it has automatic chat. Another one that I played around with over a year ago was Autopilot. There's over 40 of these different type of marketing automation, email. We didn't touch on Ontraport. Ontraport, like I say, I see that as a player that I would go to on somebody that's like between 2,000 and 5,000 list that's looking at maybe HubSpot. I am not a fan of HubSpot, I've got to be honest. They do have some cool tools, but as a marketing platform, I think they went down the Swiss Army knife total feature too much, and some of their web building and some of their other technology I'm critical of. Hubspot is doing the same thing to some extent, but it's doing it better, basically. Better interface, more easier to use. But even then, I would have some slight... It's always a difficult thing to know how much functionality dilutes the product rather than helping it, rather than keeping it to a certain level and just concentrating on what you're best at. It's always an ongoing difficult thing to know. So I think we're going to wrap it up now. Got any last question you want to ask, Cindy? Or do you...
I think, bottom line, when you are kind of looking for like a CRM is know what it is you want to use it for. Make sure that the support is there, because I guarantee it, you're going to be needing it. And then, look at their interface. If it's the ease of use is super important, because you don't want to have to take up a lot of time trying to just navigate yourself around. So I think those would be the three most important things to consider when you're kind of deciding on which CRM to go with. And then, you've got a lot of choice out there. So you won't have any difficulties finding what it is you're looking for.
Yeah, I think they're great points, because it comes to UX, interface design. There's some interface designs that I just don't find intuitive. Other people love them.
Exactly.
So it's all right for me to say don't use that. I've tried to avoid that, and because it's audio, we could just, I could have set up some dummy accounts and we could have looked at it. I'll probably do that at some stage. But on the other hand, what I don't find intuitive, somebody else could find intuitive. When it comes to Infusionsoft, I don't think anybody would say it was intuitive. I'm sorry, folks. I feel a bit sorry for being horrible, but it's the truth. Agile CRM, I would say the same. When it comes to HubSpot, yeah, I think I think I'm not going to get in too much criticism to say that but I have another co-host for another show, and he uses HubSpot every day. It's the hub of his business, and he loves it. So I keep off that subject because I don't love HubSpot, but he loves it and he recommends it. So I wouldn't, like I say, I think MailChimp and them entering the market is disrupting a lot of players. Another one I didn't mention because I think it was really very popular when it came to email marketing and the quality. Well, there's two actually. When it came to the quality of marketing and all, is eWeber. They were a big player, slightly more expensive than some of the other players. And the other one, which I use, but I just use it for producing a monthly newsletter, is an Australian company called Campaign Monitor. Really not, you can do really high-end email marketing, great support. They've just bought a company and they're increasing their functionality when it comes to marketing automation. So just to wrap up, hopefully I've given some insight. It's a very fluid, very confusing area, isn't it? Hopefully I haven't increased the confusion for our listeners and viewers, Cindy.
No, I think you've given them some good things, good places to check out. And again, it's just really knowing what it is you want and what you like.
You're going to have to try some of them out, some of the free things. That's what I would, and find an interface and try out their support and really compare 2 or 3 of them and get some sense of what interface and the help, reading the help, can you queue in? What's the most quickest for you to queue in and get something up and running, and and look at the price functionality model. We're going to wrap up this show. Cindy's been a blessing. Hopefully I haven't confused her too much. And we will be back next week with a great guest or a great subject. We'll see you soon, folks. Bye.